Pisano was 9 years old when he took an offer from a man to wash his car for $20. Instead, he was taken to Orient Heights Beach in East Boston, beaten and left to die. A passerby found him lying unconscious and got him help. 25 years later, Cliff Pisano will tell you his life has not been easy. But when he heard what happened to 10-year-old Jeffrey Crowley in the fall of 1997, Pisano felt he had a new mission: to talk about what happened to him and to warn kids about trusting strangers. Cliff Pisano is here. Cliff, what made you come forward and talk to the Boston Globe now after all these years?
Basically the Jeffrey Curley story. I opened that paper up that morning and tears came out of my eyes.
What do you remember from what happened to you way back then, 25 years ago? Do you have vivid memories of it or not?
Oh, no, I don't. I mean, I could remember. If I want to remember, I can remember, but, sometimes it's best not to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I could remember right up to the last.
And were you aware up until the last that this was a very bad situation and it could not end well for you?
I did, and I mean, that's kind of hard to say. I mean, things were a lot different back.
I think that's what I'm asking you. With all this awareness about trusting strangers and just kind of being more aware that such things as pedophilia exist. I mean, even young kids know that. Did you have any inkling what it was all about back then?
No. I mean, back then you were told once or twice, don't go with strangers. Mm-hmm. I mean, nowadays you have to tell a child 1,000 times if it takes that many times to get into the child's mind. Mm. I mean, I have 2 children of my own, 9 and 12-year-old boys, and I will tell them 1,000,000 times. I mean, I think they've gotten the story. I mean, what I have told them before.
Have they asked you about what happened to you?
Well, all I've told them before I found out the details was that I was kidnapped and left for dead.
Now, you also told the Globe a really poignant story about the man who rescued you, and you set out to find him recently. Tell us about that.
All right. I started at the Boston Public Library. I went through some microfiche. I
looked up the articles that they written.
Yeah, I looked up one of the articles. I started to read the article, and I got up to the point where I was on the danger list, and I just broke down in tears. About 20, 30 seconds later, I pulled my composure all back together, and I just continued with what I was doing.
And you found this man's name in that article?
No. That led me to go to Ruggles Street, Boston Police Headquarters, and get the police report. Mm-hmm. On the police report, I got the man's name and his last address in East Boston. I went to that last address after calling numerous people with the same name was Contrada. Numerous Contradas, trying to track, see if any of them are related. And I couldn't do it, so I went to that last address, and there was, I think it was his sister-in-law.
But did she know the story then?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes, very.
So,
very
and you
well.
have spent some time with him since then?
Oh, yes. I just left him this afternoon. She gave me the name and number to his father, and that also lives in East Boston, and the name and number of his sister that lives in Somerville.
Now, tell me, though, a little bit about what you do now. Do you actually go into schools and talk to groups of kids?
No, I just get up the courage and strength to, one thing at a time, and, but that's what I want to do. That's My ultimate goal is to spread the word. So, like I said,
have you been able to hold a job or do anything?
I worked up till 24. I started working when I was 15 years old, and I worked up till I was 24, and it's basically, with the seizure disorder and stuff, I just, I couldn't hold a job.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough.
And do they know that you have suffered some kind of brain damage or permanent damage from the beating that you took?
Does who know this?
Well, doctors, specialists.
Well, I would assume, yes. Yeah. It's all medical.
Have you, by the way, met the family of Jeffrey Crowley?
No, I did when the trial was going on. I did have the copy of the newspaper article in my pocket. I went to the Middlesex court. I got all the way up there. I went through the metal detector. I walked up to the courtroom. I looked in the courtroom doors. I saw the courtroom atmosphere and the cameras and stuff, and I just started crying. I turned around and walked. I just couldn't. I was going to walk into the courtroom, but I got up to the door, and my emotions set in, and I just.
They're good people. Maybe they will contact you.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to give them, a hug and let them know that, their son's not alone.
Yeah. Well, Cliff, thanks so much for coming here and telling us your story. Appreciate it, and good luck speaking to other kids' groups as well. Thanks a lot. Okay, and when we continue, bad behavior in sports. Is it okay for men, but not okay for women? First, a note on the story we just told you about. A man was arrested and convicted of the assault on Cliff Pisano. He served 7 years of an 18 to 20-year sentence and is now free. Moving on. Tanya Harding, the former two-time U.S. figure skating champion, was